Hello and welcome back, it's Proof Click here with another video, how to play Garen, Preseason 11. I've been spamming Garen pretty much this season, averaging A- as you can see. Today in this video, if you're a beginner, average, intermediate, you'll learn a lot and we'll go over early game, mid game, situational builds, and movement. And for our runes, you might want to pause this page real quick. We are running Conqueror just to give overall summarization of that. And we will be against Jace, so perfect. That kind of Jace counters us. Top lane because it has range. Oh no. Oh no. 1 minute in and we already have a first blood. As if going against Jace wasn't enough. Now we have a first blood on Tianna, and I don't know what my team is doing. Question mark? Yeah, I don't know if this is gonna be a good game, but it's just unfortunate we had to give first blood. But we'll try our best this game. We are going up against a Jace. But alright, let's get right into it with the early game. So in the early game, more often than not, you'll run into the question, should you be aggressive or not be aggressive? In this case, you want to use minion aggression, minion aggro, against your opponent. And in the early game, you can do so by fending off your opponent, just like so. You want to do this more in the early game and to deny CS for your opponent. And it's kind of a practice that you have to, every time you hit your opponent, you have to go back into the bush so you don't take any minion aggro yourself. But what this does, it creates a wave for you, and the more you CS, your opponent is going to CS less. But in this matchup where we are against Jace, it is very unlikely we are going to do that. Instead, we're going to be doing something like this, where you can see we are under our tower, kind of hugging our tower, waiting for him to push, because we're not going to outtrade Jace or any range champion for that matter. We might outscale them, but we cannot necessarily outrange or even outtrade them when it comes to the laning phase, especially in the early game. So you want to take this with a grain of salt. If you are going up against Nasus or let's say Jax, you know, if you're going up against any melee champions, you will be more of an advantage. But if you're asking the question, why should we not push against a ranged champion when they have the wave advantage on us, is the reason right here. See, like I go in for the chair, even if I blow my summoners, it's not even enough to do damage. And he didn't have mana, that's why I kind of tried to go for that, because I know I wouldn't have died. But just to showcase everybody that, yeah, it's not really possible. Even if your opponent doesn't have mana, you can't really like outtrade. Up next, we have our mid game. As Garen, if you're hit level 6, you are very intimidating to your opponents. And you should use that to your advantage, because any damage that you can do to your opponent to chunk down their health bar can literally knock them out with one single button, your ultimate. So using that alongside with Ignite and your Q is just very, very powerful. And that ult, like, if you guys want to replay that, but that ult is very, very satisfying. It's one of the most satisfying ults in this game, if you ask me. For the rest of the mid game and much of the late game, you will be doing things for the team and not for yourself. This is not a micro champion. If you're playing Garen, you're playing for the macro game, and it's very important to know and kind of remember at times, because you might get dragged away into playing 1v1s in your island top lane, you know, which is not what you want to do. You want to be split pushing, going for objectives. So in the mid game, it's very important, as soon as you get your ult, either kill your top laner and roam, or get the turret, get the herald, you know, help your jungler out with objectives, get the dragon. What you want to be doing mainly though in the mid game is using your advantage to take towers and do macro play for your team. This is not some micro champion, you know, when you're playing, for example, Zoe, where you gotta outplay everybody 1v9 type thing. This is mostly taking down turrets, taking down objectives, helping out your team, And I'm not gonna say it's gonna be easy. It's gonna be hard, everybody. They're gonna come at you with everything they've got. Diana, who's fed, Jace, who can do damage, Zin's out. Everybody's gonna come at you. But at the end of the day, everybody, you can dash out that ult, kill Jace, feel good about yourself. Because at the end of the day, it's about having fun playing League of Legends. But I mean, you can't do anything about that Diana, can you? Like, just so fed. Like, how fed can Diana get? It's so annoying. There are some things we can do, though. It's not entirely GG yet. We can get Spirit Visage. That's something that we can build. Usually, when you're going up against AP, heavy AP, and they're already fed, we have to build Spirit Visage. That's another item on Garen, which is very useful. And actually, it's very meta. And you have all these people saying that Spirit Visage sucks, but it doesn't. Trinity Force used to be the main go on Garen, but I would say that if you're a beginner or you're testing out Garen to play, have fun, you know, not too strict on the getting the objectives, getting the turrets, try out the more basic build. Go for Spirit Visage, go for the Cleaver, and I would say throw in a Phantom Dancer there because that's fun. Because it makes you a threat, a legitimate threat. As Garen, you want to have that pressure. Not in just taking towers, but in actual kill potential. And so when you have the Phantom Dancer, I think in this meta, it's much more doable to kill opponents. And it's very important to get away from, when you're split pushing, to get away from your opponents who are trying to kill you, because usually they'll gank up on you. And that's good for your team, because now you brought two people who chased you. Now your team can do something else on the board. So a perfect example of what not to do is this clip right here. You don't want to be pushing with your team getting towers, because that's going to draw many people into the board, into your lane, and it's basically not going to be very good. And you might actually be at more of a disadvantage if you push with your team. As Garen and any split push top laner, you want to go by yourself, push for turrets that way. So this is an example of what not to do, because yeah, these type of things happen and you get caught out and you end up dying. And then, I mean, thankfully my team here brought it back, but you know, it's not every time you get this lucky. So as Garen, tend to stay away from pushing with your team, and kindly so type to your teammates that, okay, I'm gonna push top, I'm gonna push bottom, you know, please leave me alone. Don't come with me, because sometimes you see these people like just join with you in pushing, and it's not very ideal, because that's not effective split pushing. As Garen, right now what I'm doing is putting vision, control ward into this bush so I can see if I'm gonna get ganked, and I go hide in this bush, see if I'm getting attention. Right now I am, that's why I'm recalling. This is what you mainly want to be doing in a split push. You don't want to be getting caught, especially not giving any kills to your team, because you might get some bounty on you. Alright, so next up we have situational builds. In this case, in this exact game, I am building Phantom Dancer, which is, I think, better against their team comp. So as Garen, you want to assess the enemy team first before purchasing any situational items. And these items range from Trinity Force, Phantom Dancer, you know, these off meta picks that you can pick. I think if you are behind, you should never build Trinity Force as your item unless you are ahead. And in this exact game, we were kind of behind because of a Diana who was fed, and we were kind of trailing behind. So I opted out now not to get Trinity Force, instead Phantom Dancer. So you do have to make those type of decisions. If you are going for heavy split push, I recommend you get Trinity Force. In this meta, however, I'm very overwhelmed when it comes to teammates who end or lose the game early. So it's often that translates into my lane being kind of behind because of all the ganks. So if you are on the lead, might as well build Trinity Force. But if you are like playing Garen in this game where your opponents are kind of ahead of you, just, you know, in a small way in the beginning can impact your build. So I would go for Phantom Dancer instead. Movement with Garen is very dynamic. What do I mean by dynamic? You are moving across the map as Garen from top to mid to the bottom, you are going to get drags. You're helping out your team with the Baron, and more often than not, you will run across enemy lanes where they catch you. So what you want to do with that is use your Q to get away, and if you hold off on your Q to get away, it's very efficient. So keep that in mind when you're split pushing. Do you really want to use your Q on the turret? Do you really want to use your Q on the minion? So I would say save your Q if you're trying to run away, and it's actually a very good escape tool. That's one of the few movement advantages that Garen has, is with his Q. So use that defensively, not offensively when you're pushing. Another thing with movement is going after your enemies. Chase them. Really do chase them. Like here, I'm chasing Xin Zhao and I'm chasing Jace. Where are they gonna escape? Do you guys really think I can take down Xin Zhao right now? Leave your comments below. What do you guys think happens? 1v2 right here. So the thing with my movement is that Q really does make me run faster. And Xin Zhao gets away with barely any HP. It's unfortunate, but literally I'm 1v2 here, and I'm buying so much time from my team for them to push. So really, when it comes down to movement, guys, remember that Garen is pretty fast and you can go around the map easily. And it's another important thing to realize, the order of what we're leveling up is we first can level up Q, then E, then our W. You can do E and then Q. Sometimes I'd see builds where it's like you are maxing out your E first and you put 2 points into your Q. It depends on the build and your style of play. Garen is very aggressive and very up in your face. Also very split pushy. So we generally tend to have best of the both worlds. If you are gonna try out Garen, I recommend that you go slow. Don't be too hard on yourself, especially with the matchups that you face, like such as long range champions. It could be difficult, but hang in there and always try to have fun. If you like this video and if it was of any value to you, you can help me by commenting or subscribing and even liking this video. Thank you so much and hope you have fun.